Come on in. The Lair's going back into our S.H.I.E.L.D. database for Marvel Rivals today. We're pulling file 6. And who else better than debatably right? The best Guardian of the Galaxy, Rocket Raccoon. He's not a raccoon though. It's an important note to make. And man, I'm gonna keep saying this. He's fun. I know it's crazy, but supports are fun in this game. Rocket is a strategist. Yes, he is a support. And like I said in the Jeff video, I can't stress this enough. Learn you a support, y'all. You'll be thankful for it. Seriously. And I think he's a pretty good. Support to start with. He's 1 star, so he's lower difficulty. So he's super easy to get into and learn how his kit works. He's got great pressure, great supporting tools, extremely good team up abilities. So he's definitely a support that if you want to hop into the support role, he's a good one to start with as well, especially with the lower difficulty. So in typical fashion, like we typically do, we're going to break down his kit, give overall tips and tricks for those starting out or curious how this character works, and then we're going to get into some gameplay that shows off those strategies and tips. So with that said, let's cue the breakdown and get into what Rocket's got for us. Now, starting off, Rocket's primary is going to be bombard mode, where he fires his pretty iconic, if I'd say so. I'm pretty sure most people would machine gun. That's what we're gonna call it. It's got extreme range. I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. It's got extreme range, and does a decent amount of damage. You've got 45 in the clip before you have to reload, but to be honest with you, hitting all of those, especially headshots, you can get 2 kills per clip probably quite easily without really having to try. As far as I know, they are projectile based, so obviously, you have to lead your targets and things like that. It's not hit scan like some other skills in the game, as far as memory serves. But it's I'm going to say it's probably one of the better primary fires as far as any of the rest of the healers. So this is what I was just alluding to. This primary kind of by itself leans him more towards battle mage. So like obviously you want to be in the back line with Rocket for sure. He's only got 250 health. He's got the similar health to all of the rest of the strategists, which as a matter of fact I think they all have that except Jeff. So you want to be in the back line obviously, but he's no stranger to ending up on the front line for, whether your front line collapses, players go wherever they may in the midst of the giant team fights. For whatever combination of reasons, you end up on the front line with Rocket. He's not bad at staying there and holding his own. You get focus fired, it's going to be a bad day, especially if you're not being healed by the other healer, which at that point is taking them away from healing anybody else. But the damage that he does, and more importantly, the DPS, which is most critical in these games, the DPS that he does, with how fast, obviously, a minigun fires is substantial, giving him great pressure. So again, it's best to learn a healer for your sake, and to a lesser extent, everyone else on your team. Rocket is definitely probably the healer you want to at least have in your pocket. Especially if you're a duelist, if you're a DPS player, learn Rocket. This is the support character for you. Other than that, yeah, it's not too many secrets to that. Always be firing this gun. His reload's actually extremely quick, relatively quick. So always be firing. Putting pressure, even from the back line. That's what makes, I can't understate his offensive pressure enough with just this primary. That's why we're spending so much time on it, because from the back line, you're probably providing significant DPS to supplement your DPSs. So again, You could pick a third DPS, sure, of course you could, but do this and you'll gain the ability to also have some great supports. Or supporting capability, more specifically for your team, without losing out on that completely by picking a DPS character. Obviously, you want to be focusing on the heals, which is what his second primary attack is going to be here, repair mode, where he fires these healing orbs. Now, as you can kind of see, it's kind of a little hard to tell, but as you can kind of make out, the orbs will pass through your teammates, heal them, and then it'll continue along its merry little way unless it collides with something, and then obviously they bounce. So obviously that meaning that when your team is all stacked up and whatnot, you don't have to worry about shooting an orb at, for example, Groot here, and then shooting an orb at another teammate. Those teammates are near each other or directly behind and in front of each other, then that orb will pass through and heal them both. Does a decent amount of healing. It's probably comparable to some other skills. I didn't check the numbers themselves here for you guys, to be honest. It's probably comparable to pretty much a lot of the other primary fire healing abilities, with the exception of Jeff. Bit of an outlier on that one. So it'll take quite a few orbs to try to like keep someone alive. It will take you a decent amount of sustained fire to keep somebody alive, and obviously you only have 8 until you have to heal again. Again, the fact that they don't disappear after they heal means, though, you created an area of bouncing orbs, which is what you're probably going to be trying to do. It's a significantly better situation for you and your teammate that you're trying to keep alive, since you don't, they'll get more healing out of it from the orb, potentially bouncing around and hitting them twice for heals. So yeah, obviously try to shoot into when your teammates is grouped up. That's definitely the best time, obviously, to get you a 2-for-1 heal. You're going to try to create, like I said, areas of bouncing orbs, which is something you'll see me do often in the gameplay here in a second, but it's like 40% of the chance, 40% of the time you'll get that. The rest of the time they're going to bounce in a way that you didn't want them to. But when it does fall right, you'll get some orbs bouncing around the corner to heal potential teammates that are flyers or just that far away, or all type of other, again, creating a net of just bouncing orbs on an OBJ so your team has a decent amount of sustain. But again, it's not super wild. This also, I feel, contributes to why I'm calling him more of a saboteur / battle mage. The fact that his heal isn't like healing you for half of your health. It might not even really be healing you for a quarter. Now, side note, beautiful part about this game is the ridiculous roster of characters that's already in the game, and more importantly, what they're doing with these character kits. So, back to Jeff the Landshark, who we mentioned. He has an ability that makes healing bubbles come out, and not only do the bubbles obviously heal, but they increase the amount of heal that the person that picked it up receives. So obviously, if you have a Jeff the Landshark on your team as your other support, well, now Rocket's healing becomes even more, obviously despite all of the healers, but in Rocket's case, his one heal ability, because this is his one heal ability, becomes significantly more powerful in that retrospect, because anyone that picks up these bubbles and runs into a heal orb now will gain even, like, significant healing with those two effects stacked on top of each other. So just something to keep in the back of your mind. But other than that, these two modes are pretty self-explanatory in of themselves. He's got a minigun, does great damage as you would expect a minigun to do, and he shoots bouncing healing orbs for his healing capabilities as his secondary. Moving on to Rocket's ultimate, it's going to be Cosmic Yarn Amplifier. See ya. All right, we got to do the jokes. They wrote them, not me. So this is a device that Rocket you throw down. You get to, when you press the whatever button you have your ultimate binded to, you'll get a little targeting like transparent little reticle to tell you to let you place this amplifier on the ground, and then once it's deployed, it emits. They don't do the best job of showing you the ridiculous range of it here, but a significantly large area in which your entire team will gain additional damage. It'll make a nice little tether that you can see here clearly, but I can't understate the range of it. Like, the range of it probably, to give you an idea, probably bigger than the outer part of this little circle that they stand in this little tutorial video. It's quite a few feet outside of that circle that your team will still receive damage. A damage buff. If I'm also not mistaken, it'll go through walls a bit. Like, as long as they're still within range, if I'm not mistaken, it'll just straight up go through walls. So not even breaking like line of sight with the device will stop the beneficial effects of it. Only leaving out of the range will. So obviously you're gonna want to throw this at key moments or desperate moments in team fights. This is definitely an ability that you do not want to really kind of be using when you're by yourself. If you're getting 2v1, just take that death. Probably just take that death. Just throwing down this ultimate with you. I mean, it's not to say it like that. Squishier characters that you can potentially outdamage. Let's say Luna Snow, which obviously is another healer. Or like, let me think, even on the DPS standpoint, let's say maybe Black Panther or something, right? Because I mean, he's got pretty good movement to get out of there, but that's a fight that you could reasonably win. If you're getting 2v1, let's say a Luna and a Black Panther are running down on your teammates nowhere near to be around, I can see you throwing this down, because then there's a high chance you turn around and spray them both with your minigun before they ever know what hit them. But other than that, this is 100% a team fight ultimate. So, I mean, you don't want to just be throwing it in every single team fight either. Preferably key moments. So if you're playing the payload style mode, anytime that you're approaching the OBJ, or again, the desperate situation side of it, you're getting really pushed back, and you guys need to get to this first checkpoint because you're in sudden death. This is a good time to pop it. Because again, the range is actually ridiculous, and the buff is, I can't understate how good it is, especially for your damage dealers. Like, it's actually ridiculous how good it is for your damage dealers. This will also stack with his passive, which we'll get to here in a second, with Punisher, for example. So for example, if you got a Punisher on your team, he can really get ridiculous. But other than that, this is a team fight. Slash key moments. That part obviously is something that only can come along with playing games and really kind of getting the feel for it. Team fight ultimates, the best way I can explain it is, for the sake of sounding like an anime script here, you gotta feel it. You'll feel when it's right. You'll know when it's time to throw the team ults. This is a pretty good time for it. That's probably a pretty good time. It can be destroyed. So that's another reason why I stress that this is definitely a team ult. It can be destroyed by the enemy team, and once it's up, you'll probably get, let's say, and this is dependent upon the situation, right? You'll get probably a maximum of 15 seconds of the enemy team not really thinking about destroying your Cosmic Yarn amplifier. But I'm telling you from experience, me being one of them, there's only so many seconds that's going to pass, and then I'm going to destroy your Cosmic Yarn amplifier. I'm going to destroy it if you just got it sitting out there, easily accessible to be sniped for the enemy team. And in some situations, obviously, there's nothing you can do about it. Hellas, Spider-Man, for example, any other super long range enemies. To be honest with you, an enemy rocket. To be honest with you, but it is going to become a giant target, because it's definitely a problem and something that needs to be dealt with. In most situations, obviously, you kind of have to just throw it in the middle of your team and just hope that it doesn't get shot down. But nevertheless, those are the things to keep in mind. It's a team fight ability, especially for the fact that it can be destroyed, but you do want to be using this because you do get your ult ridiculously fast with Rocket, especially as long as you're hitting. You don't even have to hit all of your shots. You don't even have to hit most of your shots. I'm going to be honest with you. Again, this is the preface, as always, that this is the beta version. These things are liable to change in the full release. But as it stands right now, as far as the information we have, you're going to get your ult ridiculously fast. So you definitely want to be utilizing this accordingly. All right, next we have his first ability, which is going to be his movement ability, Jetpack Dash. Pretty standard stuff here. It's a dash. Obviously, it's omnidirectional, so that means it in any direction. Most notably, you should be using this to dash up, to make use of, you know, spoiler alert, one of his passives being his jetpack, but obviously also just to get out of harm's way. I can't stress. I mean, like, the obvious is you're dashing to like try to get around a corner and whatnot, but if you dash past someone, someone's bearing down on you, dash towards them. It's like the distance of the dash is pretty decent enough. You won't phase through them. You won't do that. But if you dash straight past them, it's a good way to instant flank. There's my one. If I have to give you a tip or trick, learn the flank dash. That's what we're gonna call it. Learn to dash directly at an enemy, and then you have to become pretty good at 180ing. Maybe don't do this on like melee fighters, Hulk. Maybe not. Unless, again, he's got the health where you feel like you're going to win that fight. But if I was going to give you one tip or trick for something this small, that's it. It comes back really quick. You get 2 of them, as I believe quite a few dashes in the game work. You get multiples. You get 2 of them. But, again, most of the time you're going to be using this to gain vertical leverage so that you can make use of your passives. Other than that, pretty cut and dry. All right, Rocket's second ability is going to be Battle Rebirth Beacon, BRB. So this is a beacon that you're going to throw down. You get a little transparent targeting reticle or whatever for this, just like you do for the Cosmic Yarn Amplifier on your ult. And you choose where it is you want to throw them. Like the Cosmic Yarn Amplifier, I don't think I touched on this. You've got a decent amount of range that you can throw it. You don't have to throw it at your feet. You can toss these things a nice amount of distance with a little targeting reticle, as long as it's on level ground, relatively level. Because you can definitely do this on a slope / stairs, as well as the ult. But you throw out this beacon, and it's going to periodically, which let's call it every few seconds, is going to spit out armor packs, which are mad useful, especially because. Again, this is, at least speaking on it in the beta, this is the only way to obtain armor packs in the game until another hero has ability that does the same thing. But there were not armor packs just laying around that I ever saw, at least. Feel free to somebody correct me if I'm wrong in the comments or something, but there was never any armor packs laying around in the map. Only ammo, or I don't know why I keep saying ammo packs. Only health packs. Jeez. So, yeah. So it's going to periodically spit out the ammo packs, which are great. There is no limit to the. I believe. Actually, I never tried. I never you're too busy in the fight, so I never actually just stood there and collected. I picked up 2 or 3, so that's why I wanted to off the top of my head. So there's no limit to the amount of armor packs you can pick up. I would just say. Be nice to your team. Like, don't get me wrong, you're the other healer on the team, and Rocket's got this out here and it's spitting out. Go get you some armor, because you've got less than 300 HP. I understand. If you're a Venom, maybe don't be just picking up armor packs unless you absolutely have no choice. You're about to die, because you can give yourself armor, my friend. But other than that, obvious, as you can see here, the main draw from this is that it will also revive a teammate. That is as in a single teammate. A single teammate dies while this is up, it will revive them. Again, I'm slacking on my homework just a little bit because I never tested the range. It's kind of like hard to test it as Rocket himself And every time I've ever been revived by the beacon myself, I'm in the middle of a fight, so it's hard for me to 100% to like think to myself to judge how far was I away when I died from the beacon that rezzed me. But let's say that it has a bigger. Let's say that it has a bigger distance than the ult. It has a bigger distance than his ultimate and his team up ability with Punisher, for example. So let's put it around the amount of space that Adam Warlock, which we haven't got to him on this channel at least yet, but his revive ult gives you. Again, the difference here is that it's only one person, and once that person is revived, then the beacon automatically disappears. So I've had, there'll be situations where you'll throw down the beacon, and it will just immediately get used because someone died. Don't feel too much of a way about it in that case. Revive from the beacon is always, and I mean always, better than having to take that walk back from the respawn, your team's respawn. So the main tip, the main strategy here for the beacon is to make sure that it's out of line of sight, make sure it's preferably as well hidden as possible. Every now and then you'll come upon a situation where you don't really have a choice but to throw it right in the midst of where everyone can see it, but just know that it can and will be destroyed by the enemy team if it's visible, because of how good your teammate respawning right next to you is comparatively to having to make that walk back from the team respawn. So that's about it. Just toss it in a corner somewhere dark to be forgotten about, so your teammates don't have to make the walk or fly back all the way from the respawn, and keep your team pushing as much as possible or defending, depending on which side you are on. That's about the two big strategies for this one here. Coming up next is going to be Rocket's first passive, which is his wild crawl ability. Excuse me, wall crawl. I still got Spider-Man on the brain. Wild crawl, which is going to allow him to go either vertically, or if I'm not mistaken, horizontally along a wall. He can't move diagonally. I do believe you can move vertically or horizontally though, along a wall, or vertically, like you see in the little training video here. He can't stop on the wall like our Spidey friends, so you do have to be moving in a direction. You can't just like latch onto the wall and stay in one place. You have to be moving in whichever direction it is, as long as you're holding the button that you have mapped to use this ability. Obviously this is what you're going to be using outside of your jetpack dash to gain. 9 times out of 10 you're going to be using this to go vertically up a wall to gain leverage and vantage points to further help your team either through healing or support with your damage. And then obviously you can jump off of the wall and go into your jetpack dash from this, as well as the second passive, Flying Ace, which we're about to get into right here in a second. But other than that, it's pretty standard ability here. Always want to be trying to gain good vantage points to throw heal orbs and or provide supporting fire with your minigun. So obviously, if it applies, use it. If there's a wall, use it, because it's pretty fast. It's a good way to get up out of there, and decrease your chance of getting hurt, because you are going to be a big target because of how good your support is. And again, most importantly, to combine into his other 2 movement abilities, one of which right here, his second passive, Flying Ace. So while you're in the air, you can hold whatever button you have mapped. For default on PC, it's going to be the space bar, and you will float slowly. So obviously he's just jumping off of the platform that he climbed up in this video, but you can obviously do this straight from a wild crawl, straight off of a wall. Obviously you can even do it off of a wall into jetpack dash, into float, and this gives you great vantage points to do healing or provide supporting fire, whatever it is that you need to do. Get around an obstacle, maybe a good flank, although I don't necessarily suggest flanking with Rocket, especially at least by yourself. But if that is something that the situation leads itself to, then this is a great ability for that. The tip I have for this is the one I'm going to give for all of the characters that have this. There's quite a few, like Magneto, for example, and Scarlet Witch. You can go in the settings, and remember, settings can be individually changed per character. But you can go in the settings, and characters with an ability like this, where they float slowly to the ground, you can actually, so right now, it says you have to hold the button. So for example, for my controller players, let's use PlayStation, the X button is what this is mapped to by default, because it's the jump button. So you'd have to hold the X button in order to float. What you can do though, is you can go in the settings and you can change the hold to a press. So now, once you're in the air, you can simply press I'm gonna use the X button as the example, or the space bar. You can press the button, that button that this float is attached to, and instead of holding it, obviously pressing the button will allow you to go into this slow float, so that your thumb is freed up to press other buttons and do other things. Obviously, the great thing about this is while you're floating in Flying Ace, you can jetpack dash. So yes, that means that you can jump off of a wall into a jetpack dash, or off of a wall into the Flying Ace, float a little bit, jetpack dash upwards, because you jetpack dash in the direction that your targeting reticle is. So you can dash upwards, gain more vertical, and then pop your Flying Ace again, press the button again, and you'll be higher up in the air. Obviously, since you have 2 jetpack dashes, that means that you can do it twice. So you could wall crawl, jump, float, jetpack dash twice to get a significant vertical advantage, and then float slowly, almost as high up as some of the flyers in the game. You can get up there. You can get up there about as high as a flyer could, and obviously that's all depending on what you jump off of. For example, he's jumping off of a platform here. He could have jetpack dashed twice into the air upwards and then floated down. He'd be pretty high up in the air. So that's about all I got for that. It's obviously use these 3 abilities: wild crawl, Flying Ace, and your jetpack dash in unison to gain significant vertical vantage points to help your team, whether that be through healing or providing more damage. Because a flying rocket with a minigun is terrifying. All right, getting into Rocket's first team-up ability in a game with team-up abilities, as you probably figured, considering Groot's also in the game, his team-up is with Groot. And in typical Groot Rocket fashion, our buddy Rocket likes to ride on his best friend's shoulder to become an absolute monster, a mobile turret of sorts. So you gain an extra button as Rocket, and you press this button, whatever it is that you have it mapped to, and when you're near the Groot, you will hop upon the Groot's shoulder. Rocket gets a nice damage reduction, as you can kind of see here in the little tutorial video. Takes significantly more damage when he's not riding on Groot's shoulder versus when he is. He doesn't get a damage buff or anything, but it takes a little bit more to kill our buddy, which is nice. At 250 health, it's nice to have that damage mitigation. And the Groot gains 150 health, which is absolutely insane. It's absolutely insane considering the amount of sustainability Groot has, where he just does not go down, even without a rocket on his shoulder. Obviously, this is combined with the fact of you have access to all of your abilities as Rocket, so this means, and what you should be doing while you're attached to the Groot, is that you can even more effectively heal your Groot. It's gonna take a little bit of practice, but since Rocket uses bouncing healing orbs, what you're gonna have to do is aim directly down, and as far down as you can down the reticle, and aim at the Groot. Some of your orbs are gonna bounce and not heal him. I'm just gonna throw that out there for you, so you're not blindsided. Like, hey, what? This is crazy. It just bounced and didn't even heal him. That will happen. So also, like we kind of went over when we were going over the healing orbs in of themselves. You know, sometimes you'll have to use the knowledge of how they bounce with how you want to heal them. But for the most part, let's say 8 out of 10 orbs are going to land and heal your Groot, which makes him even more of a ridiculous threat, because you become the true definition of a pocket healer. As they like to say in hero shooters, you become the true definition of a pocket healer. So obviously you want to be making sure that your Groot is as topped off on health as possible, since you're attached to him, and you're going to make him a much you're gonna make him a much bigger target, not just because obviously you're a bigger hitbox, but because people know that that's an issue when Rocket and Groot are teamed up like that. So making sure that he's well healed off. But, and I mean, granted, again, I know I just called you a pocket healer. Do not neglect the rest of your team. It's very easy to get caught up while you're using this team up ability. You're gonna kind of see it in the gameplay here at the end here, where I make sure that I'm healing everyone else too. You want to make sure, like, don't get me wrong, Groot is your first foremost the thing you want to focus on the most, right? First of all, because his well-being is directly not tied to yours. Not that you share health or anything, but he goes down, you're probably going to be next. So obviously, you want to make sure that you're probably healing Groot first and foremost, but do not forget about the rest of your team. You are still a support for your team, and assuming that it's well balanced, there are only 2 of you. So the less healing that you're doing for everyone else means that your other healer has to pick up that slack. So keep your head on the swivel like you should be playing support, and make sure you're healing everyone else. But yeah, obviously Groot's gonna get a little bit of favoritism there because you're his pocket healer, and also obviously using your minigun and turning him into a mobile turret, giving him even more range than he already has, which Groot has pretty nice range with his abilities and basic attack, for example. But giving him even more range with your minigun, still throwing down your like I said, you can use all of your abilities, so still throwing down your BRBs whenever possible, throwing down your ultimate whenever possible. Obviously you won't be using your wild crawl or flying ace or jetpack dash or anything like that while you're on Groot, although if I'm not mistaken you could straight jetpack dash off of his shoulders. You get some sick plays in, but other than that, just pretty self-explanatory. You use this team up, especially when you've got a good Groot, and you guys are going to have an amazing time. Great pressure can be put on the enemy team with even just a decent Rocket and a decent Groot. Again, you're gonna get a little bit of that in the gameplay here. I got teamed up with a really good Groot. You'll really get to see what happens when you, and mind you, there's no comms in the gameplay you'll see, so you'll really get to see what happens when the ball gets to rolling with a really decent Groot and a really decent Rocket. But yeah, other than that, be seeking out the Groot on your team and trying to use this whenever possible. Again, you're going to become a target because when people see a Rocket walking around on a Groot's shoulders, that's usually a instant signal to them to, yeah, we got to take that out because that's a problem. It's a walking turret monster that does not like to go down. But yeah, I would just say make sure that you're keeping up on your healing duties with the rest of your team. Although Groot is going to be your primary focus since you guys are joined at the hip. All right, going into Rocket's final team up ability, and debatably just as strong, if not debatably a little bit stronger, to be honest with you. He's got to team up with Punisher because this game likes to throw out team ups you never saw coming. Although it kind of makes sense, to be honest. So ammo invention. So this is going to give Rocket another additional button, meaning if you have Rocket, or if you have Punisher and Groot, you're gonna get 2, which is, like, again, one of the probably great things about this game and the team up abilities is that layer that it just adds on is absolutely insane with the combos that you can make even outside of just team up abilities. For example, we know about Captain America now. The good Captain America is crazy with his abilities. Anyway, ammo invention. So you're going to press the button that this is mapped to on PC by default. That is Z. He's going to throw out an ammo overload device. It's going to drop on the ground. It's going to make a nice size. It's kind of like hard to see in this tutorial video, but it makes a nice little AoE circle. I would say roughly around the same size as his ult. Roughly probably around the same size as his BRB. Well, probably smaller. I think BRB does have the most range. But while the Punisher is standing in this area of effect, he gains, most importantly, unlimited ammo, which means that he no longer has to reload his shotgun or assault rifle, which is huge, especially for the shotgun on Punisher because it's super crazy good. And he gains faster firing, which also is insane for his shotgun because it's already crazy good. So the Punisher becomes even more of a threat, which is saying a lot because the Punisher is extremely good in this game. So the best part about this team up, I would say, is even if you're in a situation where you're not in comms with the Punisher on your team, let's say you're playing random pubs, you're playing with random folk, you just throw this down, and eventually the Punisher on your team will just start to understand, like, oh, he's throwing down that ammo overload device. Oh, okay. I need someone that doesn't even know about this ability. If they have the slightest amount of awareness as to what's going on, they're gonna be like, hold up, this thing is great. And you can literally utilize that combo without even using comms. Without using the in-game text or any type of voice chatting, you can completely make a plan with the Punisher on your team. They'll know to like stick by it because he's throwing out this ammo overload device. It does have a 30-second cooldown, reasonably, because this ability is way too crazy good. Again, especially with the Punisher and especially with the shotgun. I'm not gonna go too much into like how the Punisher should be using it because that's something we'll save for the Punisher breakdown. But definitely, this move is off cooldown. Use it. It can also be destroyed just like all of the other devices that Rocket throws down. So obviously, don't be surprised the enemy tries to take it out. Don't throw this into a dark corner like you do your BRB because it's not going to particularly do you much justice. Just keep an eye out on where your Punisher is and make sure you're throwing this down wherever he is. Preferably maybe not when he's in a turret. Try to wait for maybe he's outside of the turret. But again, that's something that like comms will help with. But cannot stress how amazing this move is. The infinite ammo and the increased firing is way too good, especially with Punisher's shotgun. So if this is off of cooldown, you want to be using this, especially if you got your ult. You want to be both of these at the same time. Your main thing with Rocket is obviously to increase your team's firepower at every given moment. Now, what do all these things mean in tandem? When we get into the suggested combo, obviously, as I said, constantly using your jetpack dash because, first of all, you've got two of them. The cooldown on it is really good. Probably 2 seconds, 3 at the most, before you get another jetpack dash back. Using your flying ace floating ability out of your jetpack dash is, I'm going to say, probably 9 out of 10 times what you want to be doing. Jetpack dashing into your float. Your wild crawl again will get a little bit less use since you're not Spider-Man, you're not like swinging quickly to walls and whatnot, but obviously using wild crawl whenever possible to also go into jetpack dash slash your little flying ace float to gain vantage points, constantly throwing down your rebirth beacon. If it's off cooldown, your rebirth beacon needs to be down so that at least one of your teammates doesn't have to make that long trek back from the opening spawn area for where your team is. Even in the payload modes where the respawn continually moves up, as long as you're pushing the payload, the beacon is still going to be way better because they're going to pop right back up in the fight and be able to provide pressure slash support much better than the 30 or so seconds it'll take them to walk and or fly from the respawn. So constantly throwing down your beacons. Obviously, your ultimate is off of cooldown. Use your ultimate. Again, your ultimate and the ammo invention, both, all of the devices that Rocket throws can be destroyed. But the beacon is the only one that you want to like make sure that to like protect by throwing it somewhere where it can't be seen, at least when possible. Throw that beacon down. If it's off of cooldown and you don't have nowhere to hide it, throw that beacon down because getting that res off again is still important. Utilizing your team up abilities when the Punisher and or Groot are on your team because they're just too good, from turning Groot into an even more sustainably unkillable monster to making the Punisher's pressure with his great primary weapons just absolutely insane. It's constantly doing that. And obviously, you are a healer. I'm talking a lot on the damaging aspect of Rocket, but making sure that you're throwing out your healing orbs, trying to bounce them in ways where they'll preferably bounce in between the area where your team is so that they can get to them, or that it'll just fly into them after it bounces off the wall all crazy. Do not forget about your heals. It's super easy to get caught up, especially with Rocket, with doing damage and providing offensive pressure, but you are a support. So do not don't forget that you're also, your team is reliant on you for more than just the pressure, but he is a great pressure support. As I said, debatably much closer to a battle mage, probably than most of the other supports in the game. But yeah, that's about what Rocket is all about. Turning the tide, I would say, especially like with your ult, a good ult, and the way it increases everyone's damage. Even if you don't have a beacon, even if you don't have a Punisher with you, even if you don't have a Groot with you, Rocket is really good about flipping the switch and really pushing the tide towards your team's favor with his ability to increase everyone's offensive capabilities. Just don't forget about the healing. Again, his healing I don't think is as great as some of the other healers. He maybe even has some of the worst healing as of right now until we get another support character. With just the way that the orbs bounce around, and it takes a little bit more practice to get your heals on point. But do not forget that is something that the team does rely on you on. And again, if you have, like, for example, a Jeff on your team, it makes your heals even better. So while you're dealing out the pressure and pushing people, because sometimes you're going to be doing that with Rocket himself. Rocket has the ability to fight 2v1s depending on the characters. Just don't forget that you are also a support, constantly moving around with your jetpack dashes and your floating and whatnot, because it's super good, getting good vantage points. And yeah, that's about it. Seeing what your team needs. Again, you see a Punisher, making sure you're dropping ammo invitations on him. If you got a Groot, making sure that you're using that shoulder ride ability, because the extra 150 health is super great for Groot, as well as the damage reduction that you get. It's really good. It's really good for team pushes. So in a squad, you stacked up with people that you know, or even just you communicating using either the in-game text or the voice chat and whatnot, Rocket goes to the even further level. But even playing with random pubs with absolutely no communication going on outside of maybe pinging stuff with the ping system, Rocket is super good about helping help the team push. So that's going to be about all we've got for Rocket today. We're going to get into the gameplay now to show off for these things. I know this one went a little bit longer than some of the other ones. Apologize for that. Rocket's just got a little bit more to talk about. And I also want to really delve into the supports, because it's a super important role. I'm always stress how important it is that you learn a support for your sake and for the sake of your teammates, if not to a lesser extent. So we're going to get into the gameplay. As I said, I ran into a really good Groot, so this gameplay is going to be a whole lot of me rolling with Groot on his shoulder, and that's just me showing you that pushing, but a lot of the other things are still in there. So with that said, you made it this far in the video. I appreciate you. Hope all is well, and if not now, that it will be. Wherever you are, whenever you are, again, thank you for watching this. Until the next time, we'll be right here at the Lair.
Who are you calling a raccoon, huh? Just say it. There's nothing I can't fix.
30 seconds before you attack. Get ready.
Mind if I join you, pal?
The actual Magneto. Wow.
Should I know who you are?
No, but you should know magnetism doesn't work on super cooled materials. Guess what I can do?
Be impertinent, it seems.
The battle starts in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Don't forget, securing the mission area is your top priority.
Humans are so fond of their golden idols, but all of them shall bow to steel. Ah, here they are now.
Someone scratch my back! Too many things impress me. Storm, pretty flarkin impressed.
I suck.
I'll patch you up. This is real!
You have made your father proud, Wanda, my dear.
Grow up. Chicos.
Team play! That's me! Faster, my friend! I'm extra lethal. Feel the thunder! Armor patch here! Pay up!
Help get that vehicle to its destination.
This is real firepower! You're ready for my good deed for the day. Magneto's defeat should make me happy. I'm extra lethal. This is real firepower!
I am ready to put on a show.
Taste. I feel like we should have. It's you and me again, old buddy. Extra
hurt.
lethal.
I like the
Scratch
cold.
my back. I'll patch you up.
Judge, jury, executioner!
This is real firepower! Have a tailwind. I just got more dangerous.
You're halfway there. Keep going.
I'm flarkin helpful.
Made your father proud, Wanda, my dear.
If Spider Zero does not reach Plutocon, she cannot reach the Shrine of the Weaver.
For mutant kind!
Wonder if I can steal that turret thing.
I'm hurt.
Someone scratch my back.
Almost there. Don't turn back now.
A nice deep freeze.
You're ready for action. This is Your welcome. As good as mine, Luna. I bring thunder. I'm back.
Get that vehicle moving again.
Relay deployed. It ain't cheap. You're ready for action.
I'm ready to put on a
This
show.
is real firepower. Legendary!
Faster, my friends! Hurricane incoming!
It's the grand finale.
This is real firepower! Team player, that's me. I'm extra lethal. Ping the bad guy. I'll patch you up.
A nice deep freeze.
Don't bite me.
Judge, jury, executioner!
I'm flarkin
Life and
helpful.
destiny must be preserved.
Pay up.
checkpoint. Keep up the momentum.
Dangerous? This is real firepower! You're ready for action! That's fucking hurt!
That's it! Don't let anything stand in your way.
Oh, I'm not gonna make it easy.
Speed is everything.
So close! This is your big chance! And I'm ready to put on a show! It's the grand finale!
You're welcome. It's you and me again, old buddy. Relay deployed.
Hurricane incoming!
Judge, jury, executioner! I am Groot!
Faster, my friends!
This is real firepower! I just got more dangerous. I'll patch you up. Oh, someone scratch my back. This is real firepower!